A soft, salty breeze blows, and a steamboat, the Riverboat Queen, can be seen making its way down the river just as the sun gleams through the light fog. The smell of coffee beans roasting and fresh bread baking is in the air, while the saxophone sounds a familiar jazz tune. The horns blow from the Canal Street ferry just as the St. Charles streetcar goes by, and the sweet smell of the city brings back all the memories of my being raised in a colorful place known as New Orleans. Take a walk with me down Decatur Street to Cafe du Monde or enjoy some of the Cafe au lait and beignets while listening to a street performer play some rhythm and blues or jazz on the sax. Then we can take a stroll down to the French Market and make a deal with one of the 100 or so vendors selling everything from fresh fruits and vegetables to leather bags and beautiful jewelry. Every street in New Orleans has something different to offer, from antiques and collectibles to restaurants and pubs. There's just so much to see and do in the city, the imagination couldn't begin to explore the true beauty New Orleans has to offer. But before you can appreciate what New Orleans really has to offer, you must first understand what's behind the heartbeat that keeps this great city alive. It's the people, the culture, and the history only the natives talk about. Discovered by the French in 1718, sold to the Spanish in 1763, and bought by the United States from Napoleon in 1803, New Orleans became a very diverse city in culture and in population. Originally named La Nouvelle Orleans in 1718 by Jean-Baptiste Le Moyne, Sieur de Bienville, founder of the highland near the mouth of the Mississippi River, New Orleans became America's first city of opera and was deemed the opera capital of North America in the early 1800s. As population continued to grow from the late 1800s into the 1900s, the city expanded north along the Mississippi River basin to form what is now known as the Crescent City. But the city was not without scars from this influx of growth. In the early 1900s, a devastating fire burned most of the buildings and homes in the city. And without adequate drainage and sewage and clean water, the city became plagued with diseases like the yellow fever epidemic that claimed the lives of over 8,000 people. The people of New Orleans are very resilient, though, and through the darkness came a light known as jazz. Jazz is a recipe of music put together like a good homemade gumbo. Imagine walking down the street, and at every street corner is a musician playing music that made you feel alive, happy, and just full of the spirit to dance. Everywhere you look, you see people dancing in the streets. They're touched by the joyous revolution known as New Orleans jazz. It's the only place I know of where everything is considered a reason to celebrate. It's where neighbors and strangers alike come together to celebrate, expressing feelings through music and dance, flooding the streets with jubilation. In New Orleans, music is as much a part of death as it is a part of life. A distinguishing mark of New Orleans culture is the jazz funeral procession. The practice of having a musical celebration dates back to the early 18th century. The procession starts in the street, marching toward the cemetery, playing slowly, Nearer My God to Thee. Once the casket is in place in the vault, everyone begins to leave, and the band leading begins the song, When the Saints Go Marching In. Honoring the life of a loved one who has died through celebration, music, and dance is an important custom in New Orleans, and not one to be taken lightly. Businesses close, people stop on the roadway, and complete strangers have been known to come together when a procession starts marching down the streets of New Orleans to what is known as the Cities of the Dead. The trumpets are blowing, the street performers are tap dancing, and the smell of sweet jasmine is in the air. Diverse culture can be seen everywhere you look, from the building tops to the dinner tables. History of this old town is around every corner and in every building. New Orleans is famously known for its attractions, especially that of Mardi Gras on Bourbon Street. But for the locals and those that really want to see some of the splendor of this great city, Bourbon Street is the last place you want to be. As a first-time visitor, where would you go to see some of the best of New Orleans? Let me share with you some of my favorite places, and then you can decide.